Today, this is the Town of Easton Zoning Board of Appeals meeting for June 23rd, 2020 at 6:30 p.m. via Zoom. The first order, or the first hearing, public hearing, special permit number 20-5, applicant is seeking permission for outside dining on the premises for property located at 50 Oliver Street rear. Tim, if you want to read that, I will get the panelists up here and.
Sounds good. The Easton Board of Appeals will hold a public hearing on June 23rd at 6:30 p.m. to be held remotely on the petition for a special permit, Shoveltown Brewery, Inc. for property located at 50 Oliver Street rear, Easton, Mass. Assessors map 11U, lot 153, for a special permit pursuant to Easton Zoning Bylaw Appendix A, Table of Use Regulations, Section E4, as follows. Applicant seeks a special permit for permission to allow outdoor seating on the premises. The virtual meeting link will be contained within the posted agenda at least 48 hours in advance of the meeting. This notice is also available at masspublicnotices.org. I'm going to read the different comments from all the boards. Affordable housing is not applicable. Historical Commission not applicable. Environmental planner not applicable. Building department has indicated incomplete. Their comment was applicant should have an engineer prepare a parking plan that shows there will be required amount of parking spaces required after the reduction. Planning and zoning, they recommend a comment on June 15th, 2020, Planning and Zoning Board discussed the applicant's application for a special permit to establish 3 outdoor dining areas and recommended the application, but did have concerns over the applicant to address. See attached comment letter. The comment letter prepared by Greg Strange, the chair of the zoning board, planning board. The board is overall supportive of outdoor dining, but was concerned about adequate parking for the additional 76 seats, particularly in consideration of the parking spaces lost for the outdoor dining areas. The applicant will have to consider the overall required parking for the entire building in assessing the required parking. Maneuvering spaces already tight in existing parking, and the plan should be evaluated for, most importantly, fire and emergency access, but also how existing delivery access would be coordinated. The proposed outdoor use will have impacts related to noise, light, and nighttime hours. The ZBA should consider conditions to manage those impacts. The use of outdoor restrooms will need mitigation with regards to odors and aesthetics. Typically, adding permanent capacity would require a complementary permanent upgrade of the existing building facilities. In this case, adding necessary restrooms. The board would caution against allowing a loosening of design standards by allowing the sanitation requirements of permanent seating additions to be met through temporary means. And that's the end of their comments. And I don't see, do you see police on your, I don't see anything there, or the fire department. So I'm going to say they did not comment. That's it.
Okay. Before we go on, I just want to point out to the rest of the people that are here for the hearing that members of the public, once the presentation is made, will go to the members of the public. If there are any people here, I ask that you either use the raised hand function at the bottom of the Zoom screen that you see, and I will be able to allow you to talk at the appropriate time. We'll do all votes by roll call at the end, and that's pretty much it. If somebody has called in and is not on Zoom but is doing it by phone, you can raise your hand by hitting *9. So, good evening, Frank. Good evening, Jim. I'll let you guys take it from here on the initial application. Is there anybody that is here with you guys that you need me to bring into the meeting at the moment?
No, just we're here, Jim and I. That's it.
Okay.
I would like to start by letting you know that we had submitted, we read the comments. We submitted a revised plan, which is significantly reduced from what it appears the planning board reviewed, and certainly the building department reviewed. So our new plan included an updated site plan as well as significantly reduced seating that we went forward with. I'd also like to say that we have that approval today, and that seating is set up under the Town of Easton guidelines for outdoor seating. We've gained approval through that process and actually have that seating up and running today. So we have an actual results of that seating that address, certainly all of the concerns that are out there. We take deliveries every day. All the occupants in the building get their deliveries. FedEx, tractor trailer trucks coming through with no issue at all. If you look at the site plan, you could see that in front of the garage doors, it widens out, and
Frank, would it be helpful if I screen shared the plan?
it certainly would.
Okay. Give me a second.
The latest plan, or?
Yeah, do you have the?
Yeah, I do have the most recent one.
That'll be the one dated June 19th, correct? Revised June 19th.
That's correct, yes.
This will be it. There we go.
Okay. So let's start at the existing brewery location. This is the inside, the existing brewery to the right-hand side on the document in blue. That's right. That's where the existing space is today. We have tables and chairs in there, and
These are not the revised drawings. This is the 5.
No, these are the older ones,
This is not the June 19th.
Oh, you're right.
because there is a separate seating area to the left of the canning operations.
no, we're not proposing that at all.
Oh, you reduced, that was the 76 and you reduced it down to 60
That's correct.
or thereabouts.
That's correct. And we're taking 5 parking spaces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
And relocating them over here.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
So there's no net loss of parking today.
Okay.
Those have already been striped and they're in place as we speak. And the garden, and I have a picture I could show you of the way that it's set up today, but it's basically exactly like the plan shows it, with the 60 tables in detail 1, with the flower boxes, and it really looks pretty nice. So it's not an eyesore at all. Again, tractor trailers come in and typically they'll park in front of the spaces to the left of the area, and they unload there, and then they make their way outside the building and away. It hasn't been an issue. We've been there for over a week, and many deliveries of inspired technology. There's a lot of equipment in, and we work very closely with them. There's not been one issue. The other residents that are in this building are very low use. They don't get, if they get an Amazon package or a UPS package, it's between Shoveltown Brewery and Inspired Technology, we are the bulk load of the deliveries that come in there. We receive multiple tractor trailer loads of grain in there, and without any issues. The trash vehicles come in, take their, can unload the dumpster, no problem. It's happened 4 or 5 times since then. There's, and as you said, the spaces that we're taking have been recovered by marking in the back area. Basically, we call that like a cement pad. There's a cement pad in that area, and there's 5 spaces that have been added in that space. So there's no net loss of parking spaces.
So what are you doing to address the bathroom issues?
So there's 3 bathrooms in that area. I think that comment comes from the original request, which had the other 2 areas, which included the portable restrooms. So we've eliminated the portable restrooms, and we have plenty of restroom capacity for that space. There's 3 active restrooms there, and that should be plenty to suit the need.
Okay.
And
I guess the question as far as the restrooms, with the next stage of people allowed to use the interior restrooms, there isn't a need for the exterior restrooms.
that's correct.
Okay.
Actually, the people have always been able to use the interior restrooms. It was the other seating that we were putting in that was calling for additional restrooms, but we
Okay.
didn't
Yep.
require those because we're eliminating those seating requests.
Now with COVID-19, there's a clear path and lines drawn on all the way to the restrooms.
Okay. Yep. Okay. I don't have any other questions. Does anybody else on the board have any questions? And just for clarification purposes, Suzanne, Steve, Tim, myself, Ed, and Ryan are sitting on this hearing.
I just wanted to make one more comment, if
Sure,
I may.
I'm sorry, Frank.
Yeah, I believe that the police and fire have both reviewed it and had no concerns. They certainly reviewed it when we had the temporary seating also, which is the same exact thing. So the police and fire have both reviewed without any concern.
They would have, I'm sure they would have advised if there were any major concerns, so.
So I only have one question. You created 5 new parking spots.
That's correct. Well, I didn't do it, but
Well,
the building
5
owner
new
did.
parking spots were created.
That's correct.
Okay. That's it for me.
Go ahead, Steve.
Yeah, just want to clarify for the public hearing, the hours of operation, Frank.
We asked for 12 to 9 every day, but I don't believe we would use all of those, but we wanted the flexibility to do that. It's in the brief. I just wanted to pull that up to make sure I clarify it.
Well, that says Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, 12 to 9, weekday, Monday through Thursday, 3 to 9. So
Yeah, that's correct.
That
Yeah,
sounds right, yeah.
that's correct. That's what we asked for.
that's what you're still asking for.
That's correct. That's another thing about the parking, and I've talked to the town planner about this also, and I'm actually going to see what we can do about it. When you guys look at the parking spaces, well, I'm not going to say you don't, but it should be considered the hours of operation for the people that are using them. For example, most of the people in that building are 9 to 5ers. So our overlap with them is very minimal, and they're not there on weekends. So the parking lot is basically empty. A lot of times I've seen that the requirement for signage, to reserve spaces for different buildings or whatever. I think you should take into consideration the hours of operation and only reserve those spaces for the hours in which they really are in use. So if you have a sign like Shangri-La or somewhere else that says you can't park there, but they're only using it, a few hours a day, then that's a wasted parking space, in my opinion.
Nothing else for me.
Understood. Okay, thanks, Steve. Tim?
Yeah, just wanted to point out that road is also a one-way.
Correct.
And we're reducing the initial request was 74, and what's the final number?
60.
So 60. The abutter is a abandoned rail line. It does say a detail on the plan. I don't see that other than just the highlighted area. If you happen to have that, if you
Yeah,
can
there's a
resend
second
that.
page, Tim.
Is there? I didn't
Yeah.
see it on mine.
Yeah, I didn't get that either.
I only have the one page.
I'm sorry,
all I have.
it's a separate document named Detail 1.
And it just shows the seating layout, I'm sure.
Yes, and the parking spaces that we took in
It's
this.
under the agenda. It's under the agenda. You can click on it.
I got it right here. Hang on.
All right.
Getting
Oh, there it is.
There it is.
All right, and this whole area again is just literally taking up the exact footprint that the parking spaces would have taken, correct?
Right, Tim, there were 3 parking spaces if looking at the drawing this way, if you're standing at the front door, there were 3 to the right-hand side and 2 to the left. And now these tables are spaced with the COVID-19 spacing, so 6 feet between them. And actually we went overboard because we got renewed guidance that it's only 6 feet from the tables. We went 6 feet from the seating. So we could squish that in. And as you see that on the left-hand side, those blocks that overlap another parking space, that isn't accurate. They're really back. So we're only taking 5 spaces.
Okay, great. I don't have any other questions.
Ryan?
I mean, any questions I had have already been covered.
Okay. Any members of the public have any questions or comments? Give you guys a minute to. Nobody's raising their hand, so I will move on. Anything, Frank or Jim, that you want to add?
I would just like to say, if you had a chance to take a look at it, we planted some really nice flowers there. We spent some money to build flower boxes, and the seating is all uniform. It looks very nice. It's a nice setting, and people are really enjoying being able to sit outside. And that we've been in operation for, I think we've had it for about 2 weeks now. Yeah. And it's been smooth operation, no complaints, and it seems to be working really well.
Okay. If there's nothing else to add, does somebody have a motion?
Move to close the hearing.
Seconded.
Motion made by Mr. Merlin, seconded by
Seconded.
Mr. Watson. All those in favor?
Aye.
Tim?
Roll call.
We're going to do roll call. Tim?
Yeah, aye.
Steve?
Yes, move to close the hearing. Yes.
Ryan?
Agree, yes.
Ed?
Aye.
And I agree, 5-0. Do we want to deliberate and decide now or move on to the next one?
Now,
Okay, Steve, you want to discuss or make a motion, or?
I think we discussed everything that there is. So I'll make a motion. We approve based on the revised plan dated June 19th with hours of operation Monday through Thursday, 3 p.m. to 9 p.m., Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, noon to 9 p.m.
Motion by Mr. Merlin, seconded
Seconded.
by Mr. McCall. Okay, we'll do a roll call vote on this one. Steve?
Yes.
Tim?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
Ryan?
Yes.
And my vote doesn't matter at this point, but I'll vote yes. So 5-0. Congratulations, guys. Good luck.
Thank you very much.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.
All right. Moving on to our second hearing. 35 public hearing, special permit number 20-6. Applicant is seeking to amend a special permit previously granted to Exxon Mobil Corporation to allow outdoor dining on the premises, property located at 491 Foundry Street. Tim?
Okay, Eastern Board of Appeals will hold a public hearing on June 23rd at 6:35 p.m. to be held remotely on the petition. Special permit, Global Montello Group Corp. for property located at 491 Foundry Street, Easton, Mass. Assessors map 45U, Lot 6, for special permit pursuant to Eastern zoning bylaw, Appendix A. Table of use restrictions, section E4, F1, and F4 as follows. Applicant seeks an amendment, a special permit previously granted to Exxon Mobil Corporation to allow outdoor dining on the premises. The virtual meeting link will be contained within this posted agenda at least 48 hours in advance of the meeting. This notice is also available at masspublicnotices.com. I'm going to read the different comments from the other boards. Affordable Housing, Historical Commission, Environmental Planner, all not applicable. Building Department recommends, no comment. Planning and Zoning Board, they comment, the Planning and Zoning Board, they recommend, and their comment is as follows. On June 15th, the Planning and Zoning Board, the board discussed the applicant's application for a special permit and recommended approval of the application with the conditions that the applicant provide a suitable barrier such as a jersey barrier or concrete bollard set into a foundation from the outdoor seating area. And that is it.
All right. Good evening, Attorney Crimmins. How are you?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. Very well, thank you. How are you doing?
I'm well, thank you. Is there anybody that is joining you today that you want me to?
Yes, I think there are a couple of members of our project team that would look to possibly speak. Kevin Doyle from Global,
Okay.
I believe is on the meeting, and Jim Bernardini from Bowler Engineering.
Okay.
And I think I see Kevin there, so unless.
Yeah, it just takes a minute for them to get in, so.
James Bernardino is with Bowler Engineering.
Okay. I'm unmuting both of them and
Great.
hopefully. All right, so
Thank
however
you.
you want to proceed is fine.
Okay. So, Mr. Chairman, just for the record, I forget if you only have 5 of you tonight or if there is a 6th member
There
tonight.
are 6, and actually, let me see if John is, John, can you hear us? No, not really.
I'm sorry, guys.
That's okay, we got 5. Better luck next time. We'll talk to you later, John.
Yeah.
All right, so there are 5 members on the board sitting, Barry. We've got Tim McCall, Ed Watson, myself, Steve Merlin, and Ryan. So
Okay.
we're good.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So this is a modification of a prior special permit that was granted for this property back in 2004. At that time, Exxon Mobil Corp received a special permit for the gasoline service station and for the car wash facility that's out behind the convenience store. The store itself is an as of right use, so that did not require the special permit, but the gasoline station and the car wash did. So that permit was granted in November of 2004, recorded in December of 2004, and I think operations began sometime in 2005. Alltown came in about 5 or 6 years ago as the new operator of this facility. And it is, if you haven't been in the store, hopefully you have, but if you haven't, it's your typical convenience store setup. Alltown Fresh is their new brand. And the primary difference is instead of just offering packaged foods as you would typically find in most convenience store, they are now introducing a kitchen facility, a small kitchen facility into this operation, and will be offering freshly cooked food products. I included a copy of the menu with the materials that I submitted. I don't know if the members had any questions on that, but I included it for reference purposes, so you have a sense. There's breakfast items, there's sandwiches, there's salads, and things of that nature. It does have some seating that will be provided inside the building. But then we are also proposing a small seating area outside the building to the right of the building as you face it. There are presently 4 parking spaces in that area to the right of the building. In fact, I was just going to ask Jim if he could put up on the screen the site plan. So,
Well, I just put it up. If Jim wants to do it, so he can manipulate it,
okay.
that's fine.
And I
have
think
a colored version. It's a little bit,
yeah.
presentation purposes, a little bit better if you.
Sure, no problem. I'll stop.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And actually, Michael, I think one of the exterior pictures, I think it's picture either number 5 or 6, if you're able to share that on the screen, probably gives a better idea of the exterior of the building. We are doing some renovations to the facade. We'll be adding the new brand of Alltown Fresh, where presently it says Alltown with some different color schemes. The sign on the mobile gas sign at the corner will incorporate the new design, but basically go in the same panel. So we're really not changing that sign at all. So the changes are the interior changes to the store, where we're adding the cooking aspect and fresh foods available for the public, but then adding this small sitting area to the right of the building that will have approximately about, I think, depending on the layout, we show a conceptual layout there that I think has about 14 or 16 seats, comprised of about 6 tables. Of course, these plans were prepared pre-COVID-19, so that seating area may need to be revised to comply with the COVID-19 requirements, as was just mentioned with your previous applicant. Obviously, whatever is required under the COVID-19 restrictions, we will abide by. Hopefully, when those restrictions, if and when they ultimately get lifted, we may be able to go back to some additional seating. But in the meantime, obviously, we'll abide by the current seat. So that, everything else is staying the same. So the special permit is really to add the outdoor seating area under the section of the bylaw that I cited in my application. With that, Mr. Chairman, I don't want to belabor anything. That's pretty much what we're looking for. We will be going to planning and zoning for site plan approval. We will also need to go to the select board for the common victualers license. And we'll also need to go, we're going to be connecting to the municipal sewer. And so we'll be going to the Board of Health for that as well. So this was our first stop in the permitting process to amend the special permit. And with that, we'll be happy to answer any questions that the board members may have.
Okay, thank you.
And I did notice, sorry to interrupt, I was unable to share my screen. If you enable that, I can bring it up and scroll through any site plan questions that you may have.
I may need to make you a co-host. Hang on.
Yeah.
That should give you the authority.
Let me know when you're ready.
You should be popping on there any minute.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah. Do you have the option to screen share now?
Yes, I do.
Great.
So you should be able to see the screen.
Oh yeah, yours is much nicer than mine.
Yeah, and I do have some other pretty pictures too. I'll give like a 30-second overview just so you can see a real quick aspect of everything that Barry just described a few moments ago. Obviously, the entire site, nothing's changing as it relates to the site. Building will have facade treatment and new awnings. And on the eastern side of the building, the right side of the building, you'll see over here, there was presently 4 parking spaces. We are taking 2 parking spaces and converting that into a large outdoor concrete patio with a pergola that is proposed to house, 18 outdoor seating areas. And as Barry did mention previously, that was pre-COVID. but we do have a very expansive area over here. So there may be some just minor adjustments to the orientation of the seats. I do have some quick perspectives. They'll be having a nice facelift in the front, new awnings, new branding across the front of the site. So it'll be like brand new. We have a couple other perspectives just from the outside. As you can see, signage and the like has not any major changes. Another perspective in the front. And here is the side patio, which is really the outdoor seating area. One comment that was definitely brought up, I'll touch base real quickly, we can have a more detailed dialogue on that, was protection of the pedestrians and the customers sitting in the outdoor area. We have approximately 8-foot spacing on these columns. These are going to be steel columns that are going to be anchored into the concrete. So they're going to be acting as bollards as well to provide protection to the customers sitting there. Likewise, we do have some planters that are proposed along the front to that can act as barriers as well. There's variable options out there to have concrete, heavier type styles that we could look and coordinate with the town on as we move through the building permit process. Other than that, those are the proposed changes. Inside, these are a couple quick other ones. Inside, you can see we have a menu board with a food station. We have a little kiosk, all the technology now. People pay and order right here in line. That was part of some of the renderings that we have. And this is just kind of an overall aspect of the interior layout modifications that are going to be updated and modernized to new branding of Fresh. So with that, I won't give you much more time. Barry covered a lot of detail, and I'll turn it back over to the board for any questions.
Okay. Steve?
When Barry was talking, I thought of a question. I wish I had thought about it earlier. Is some type of special permit needed to be able to have the ability to serve food at all? I'm assuming the original special permit didn't do that.
Correct.
So I guess it depends on what the zoning is.
Yeah. So if I may, through you, Mr. Chairman, to Mr. Merlin, so that's the common victualer's license that we'll be applying to the select board for. That's a food, as well as a Board of Health for a food service permit. Those are sort of the two necessary licenses when you are preparing food on the premises. Similar to what any regular restaurant would have to get.
Okie doke. Thanks.
Tim?
My only potential concern is they might have to come back and show, can we approve something or make a decision where they might have to alter the seating plan and, due to the COVID restrictions and things of that nature?
Yes, we can.
Okay.
Their plan needs to conform to any COVID restrictions anyways. Even if we approve them for 40 seats out there, if they can only fit 10 in because of COVID, then that would be, what they would be bound to be able to do at the moment anyway. But yeah, so from that perspective, I think we can approve the special permit for the use. They do have to go, as Attorney Crimmins said, to planning board for site plan review. And they need the common vic license as well, so.
Okay, I don't have any other questions, thanks.
Sure. Ryan?
I really don't have anything. I mean, it's very well covered in Attorney Crimmins' write-up. He covers all the things that I would have been going through anyway, and it's well written and well conveyed, so I don't have anything additional.
Ed?
Nothing for me. Very thorough.
I don't have any questions either. I will parrot Mr. Cook's response that everything was well covered in the brief and pretty much explained everything that you're looking for and what we need. Are there any members of the public? I don't see any hands up, but I'll give them a minute. And during that minute, Barry, if there's anything you'd like to add to the presentation, or?
No, I think maybe just to Mr. McCall's comment that we certainly would not have any objection if there was a condition of approval that the seating would have to obviously comply with the current COVID-19 requirements. As you indicated, Mr. Chairman, we would have to do that anyway. So, but if the board wanted to have that as a condition of approval, that would certainly be fine.
And a condition for, adding sufficient bollards that meet safety standards and so forth would be acceptable as well, I assume?
Yes, correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
What would, if on that point, Mr. Chairman, I think the client, if we could avoid adding sort of the traditional bollards, the 4-foot high yellow bollards that you occasionally see in some stores, and I think as Mr. Bernardino indicated, the columns are steel columns. What we could do is, I think, propose, as he mentioned, sort of those planters, if you will. We could make them sort of a heavy reinforced concrete planter that I think would serve the same function as a bollard, and they would be spaced even tighter than typically the bollards would be. So I think the combination of those sort of concrete planters along with the steel columns, I think would provide adequate safety. As you indicated, we do have to go to planning, and the chair had, in his comments, had raised that as an issue. So obviously we're going to need to satisfy them on that as well. So I think, if your board were comfortable with that, and hopefully the planning and zoning board were as well, as long as we didn't have to change that. And if we had to, then come back to you with whatever change that we had to make.
Okay, fair enough. Nobody's raised their hand, so I don't have anything to add. If you want, we can close the hearing.
Motion to close the hearing then.
Proceed. Mr. Merlin has made a motion to close the hearing.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Cook. Roll call vote. Tim.
In favor.
Stephen.
Yes.
Ryan.
Approve.
Ed.
Yes.
And I vote to close as well. So that's 5-0. Any discussion on this one, guys? Any concerns, questions, anything you want to? The only thing I would add is any motion to approve, I would suggest be made with the understanding that they will, that the applicant will adhere to reasonable requirements of the planning board, and that the planters be reinforced concrete or some other similar form that would be sufficient for safety purposes.
But is that even within our purview, or is that?
It should
I mean, that's
building
not.
department.
Yeah, it's not within our purview.
They're going to have a site engineer come up with something that meets the code requirements for that safety.
And for us,
And
it's just
that's
it's
to be
a
approved
special
by the
permit.
building department.
Yeah.
So I don't know how we would word that, or if we even should try. I mean, it just has to be as per code requirements for safety bollards, and that's that, I would think.
Well, I mean, we've certainly granted special permits with conditions before. I know they do have to go for site plan approval, so the planning board will have an opportunity to, rectify any error we make or any deficiency we have in allowing the special permit for the use.
So I'll make a suggestion there, Chair. This is you, Tom. We've been reviewing a lot of these outdoor seatings, what you just had with Shoveltown Brewery. And in every case, we've had to review the basically the vehicle separation because they've all gone into parking lots. The best people to do that in town is the the fire department and the building department. And they've looked at a lot of them now, and they're telling you which one, what will be safe from a vehicle strike and won't.
As long as, okay, so as long as they have sort of final determination on how that's done, then there's no issue for us just granting the special permit?
Yeah, I would think they're going to run over that safety. I mean, I would suggest you put in your permit that it just meet the vehicular safety requirements,
Right.
separation requirements of the building and fire department, and turn it over to the.
Okay, fair enough. I'm comfortable with that.
I'll make a motion with that language, if someone could repeat it.
Motion made by Mr. Merlin to approve the applicant's, the application for the special permit, and that the applicant will abide by the regulations for vehicle separation as required by the planning board and the fire department. I
Good.
get that mostly right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Building.
Seconded.
Seconded by Mr. Watson. So we'll do a roll call vote. Tim?
In favor.
Okay. Steve?
In favor.
Ryan?
In favor.
Ed?
In favor.
And I am in favor. So 5-0. Congratulations, guys. Have a good night.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, members of the board. Thank you very much.
Okay, Mr. Crimmins.
All right. Moving on to our third hearing. Public hearing, special permit number 20-7. Applicant is seeking a special permit for change or substantial extension of the existing non-conforming use on the premises for property located at 38 Center Street. Mr.
Okay. Eastern Board of Appeals will hold public hearing on June 23rd, 2020 at 6:40 p.m. to be held remotely on the petition special permit Rob Pellegrini for property located at 38 Center Street, Easton, Assessors Map 16U, Lot 109, for a special permit pursuant to Easton zoning bylaw section 23520A. Applicant seeks a special permit for change or substantial extension of the non-conforming use on the premises. The virtual meeting link will be contained within the posted agenda at least 48 hours in advance of the meeting. This notice is also available at masspublicnotices.org. Here are the comments. Police Department recommends. Board of Health status is incomplete. They have a following comment. The Board of Health does not have an approved septic plan and this property is in a zone 2. I have spoken with the engineer and given him the limits of flow for the property, signed by Mark Taylor. Affordable Housing Trust, not applicable. Historical Commission, not applicable. Environmental Planner, not applicable. Building Department, status incomplete. Where are the interior plans? If this is going to be 5 units instead of the existing 3, I believe the bylaw calls for a variance and not a special permit. Planning Board and Zoning Board did not recommend. I don't think I got the paper clip on that, sorry. If I can pull that up.
Do you have that one?
I don't have I didn't print out the little letter they put with it.
Okay, I can read that.
You got it? All right.
Letter from Greg Strange, Chair of the Planning and Zoning Board, dated June 16, 2020. On June 15, 2020, the Planning and Zoning Board discussed the applicant's application for a special permit to reinstate an abandoned non-conforming use of a funeral home with 2 apartments. The board found that the proposed use of a property management office in the basement and 4 residential units was not consistent with the original use. Specifically, the board found that the addition of 2 units is an increase in density contrary to the contrary bylaws adopted by town meeting and carries impacts not present in the original use. Further, the location of the property management office in the basement does not meet the objectives of use, which typically maintains a street presence to engage pedestrian activity. As such, the board recommends against granting the special permit. That's the extent of their letter.
Point of information, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
There is some, in the paperwork submitted by the applicant, there's some question of whether it's a special permit or a variance. Since I didn't hear anything in the ad about a variance, am I to assume that we could not vote a variance tonight? It's either a special permit or not a special permit or something else, but we cannot vote a variance.
That is my understanding. Imai is still with us in the meeting. If there are any questions about the sort of the logistics of how this works. But yes, the applicant would have been required to file two separate applications, one requesting the special permit and one requesting a variance in the alternative. I believe the applicant is aware that we can only consider the special permit for tonight, but they would not be precluded from filing an application for a variance if we were to not grant the special permit, and directed them or thought that they were better served to file an application for the variance separately.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So with that, I will turn it over to the applicant's attorney, Rob Pellegrini. Rob, is there anybody else? I've got Greg Driscoll on here. Is there anybody else that you need me to bring on as a panelist at the moment?
No, Greg and I should be able to handle it.
Okay. Okay. And Greg, are you going to screen share anything? In which case I need to make you a co-host of this as well.
I can. Yep, I have plans that I can show if you like.
Okay. Whatever helps, right? So,
Sure.
Okay. Attorney Pellegrini, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everybody. I'm Rob Pellegrini, representing the buyers. Basically, this is a younger couple with some children, and they were looking to basically buy this to renovate it, making the current 2 residential apartments into 4. And as everybody knows, the funeral home's been closed for quite some time, but it was over 2,800 square feet. So basically, they're proposing to use that to create 2 additional 2-bedroom residential apartments for now a total of 4. It's at 38 Central. I think everybody probably knows the property pretty well. It's surrounded by residential uses. The closest commercial use is heading up into town there, about 400 feet away. It's the painting place, I believe. That's really it. If you head in the other direction, it's residential for a lot longer. Generally the proposal is to change or extend a non-conforming use. In this case here, it's basically to add residential. What's interesting is, there's several attorneys here. There's a very well-known Supreme Judicial Court case whereby they say, any property that would require a special permit is deemed to be non-conforming pursuant to 40A Section 6, which is exactly why I did the application as a special permit versus a variance. The current mixed use requires a permit from planning and zoning pursuant to Appendix A of the zoning bylaw. If for some reason mixed use was the wrong category, even a 2-family would also require a special permit from the planning and zoning board. So that leads me to the bylaw 23520, which basically says the ZBA may award a special permit to change or extend a non-conforming use if it determines the change or extension shall not be substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood. You know, we believe obviously that the addition of these two residential units is certainly not substantially more detrimental. It's actually probably preferred. As you know, very small lot. It's Greg could probably tell me very quickly, but I think it's 17,000, 18,000 square feet. It's significantly below the required 40,000 lot. The building itself is dimensionally non-conforming just about everywhere, meaning front, side, rear. Once again, it's been around for a while. If there was nothing there, this certainly could not be built. And there's no change whatsoever to the footprint proposed. What is surprising is the impervious actually does meet the bylaw, and in fact, the engineers have managed to increase the pervious area by 2,360 square feet, I believe. And obviously, at this location, you know, going to two residential units is, as far as septic is concerned, a much less stressful use than would be a funeral home. Obviously, parking and traffic, obviously significantly less. As you can see, there's very little room on this undersized lot for parking. So once again, you know, this use seems to be a good thing based on what we have. You know, as far as residential, it is going to be owner occupied for real. They're very excited about moving in. Obviously, location to the downtown for walkability is a plus. So, you know, that's, in my opinion, humbly, yet one more plus to, you know, this request. Let's see. Some might be asking, why not a variance? The case law and the statute is pretty clear. I think as long as we're not proposing any new use or new structure that doesn't comply, we wouldn't need that. And I'll just add before I turn it over to Greg to sort of go over his plans, that we are showing 12 parking slots. Only half of that is required, so we have more than adequate as far as the bylaw is concerned. We're also adding quite a bit of green space in the front to make it look better. With that, assuming you'd like to hear the whole presentation at once, I can turn it over to Greg.
Hey, hi everyone, Greg Driscoll, Jacobs Driscoll Engineering. So I started sharing my screen here, and just a quick overview. Here's the locus map. And you know, this is the center of town right up in here, and the funeral home is located right about here, across from Oakland Street. Existing conditions plan is right here. The lot is 18,215 square feet. This whole area is paved right now. And there's another driveway up here. There's a garage here. And at a lower level is another garage down here where they parked the limousines and whatnot for the funeral home use. Existing cesspools right about here. We have soil testing from the previous surveyor and engineer, Frank Rablin. And we've already spoken to, Mark Trailer said in his comments, we've already spoken to the Board of Health and talked about the flows and the fact this is zone 2 and how we're going to make that work. You know, in theory, we have a working idea of where it's going to go, a rough size of where it's going to go. And that'll be the next step after we get past this portion of the project. So we're going to go in this area right here. We're taking away this row of parking spaces, leaving a 24-foot wide aisle, 10 parking spaces along here, including a handicap spot. Reducing the pavement for this driveway as well, leaving just 2 parking spots here. So these areas right here are areas that are impervious that will become grass. So it's about 2,600 or so square feet total that's paved now that will not be paved in the future. So that helps with, right there, that'll help with stormwater runoff and reduce that. And last sheet of the set, we just have some standard details for pavement markings, signs, control, and all that type of stuff. So that's pretty much the overview. Like Rob had said, we're required 6 spaces for the proposed use, and we're showing 12. So we have twice as many as we need. And that's pretty much the overview. Any specific questions on the site plan?
Where's the entrance to the property management office?
Oh, I need to jump in. I forgot to mention that portion of the project has been eliminated, so no more property management. It was truthfully actually only submitted originally after we had a very preliminary meeting with the interim planner, and it was just suggested as a way to, I think, convert this to mixed use. So that's off the table. There's going to be no commercial element whatsoever.
So the mixed use isn't actually mixed use anymore?
It's residential.
Okay.
So are we even having the right hearing? Because all the documentation is mixed use. You know, I see in here this stuff on either special permit or variance under section 2A and B. So I'm not sure what I'm being asked to review and help provide a decision on.
Well, sure. Really, the important part of the application, in my opinion, is that we're asking for a change to a non-conforming use. That use is, or to extend it. It's that would be the 2-family, and to go from 2 to 4.
That's not really an extension of use. That's a change of use, because right now it was set up as mixed use, where it was a funeral parlor with 2 apartments, and we're going to change it to 4 apartments, all residential, still residential building, but we're completely a change of use. So I'm not even sure that the application we're being asked to review is what we're being presented and being asked to make a decision on.
Okay. Well, truthfully, the mixed use portion of this was dropped within the last day or so after a couple conversations I had with people locally. If it makes you feel more comfortable, we can keep the plans exactly the way they are and continue with that mixed use.
Just me personally, I'm not sure if there's no intent of actually having a property management office on site. I think it's difficult for us to do an extension of a non-conforming mixed use if it's straight residential. I think in that case we're looking at a variance for a 4-family is basically what we would need to be able to vote on.
Because even like I had a question on that extension. Like, is there a statute of limitations on an extension requested? Like, how long has it been since it's been a funeral parlor? Like when the use has stopped, there's like, isn't there a timer that starts and says if it's not restarted?
23524 says if it's abandoned for 2 years.
And it's been longer than 2 years. I mean, do we have an actual date? been about 5.
Well,
I'm not sure.
235-24 says if it's abandoned for 2 years, the ZBA can reestablish a non-conforming use. This isn't, this isn't, this is why I asked that question at the beginning, because now the bylaw clearly says in 235-40 that if it's 3 or more units, it's a multi-family. The use of the funeral home is clearly abandoned under 235-24. And under 235-22, it's like creating a new nonconformity. So it's almost Michael hit it on the head before. I think we're or Ryan, whichever one of you said it. I think we have inadequate plans which have been changed in the last day, which is fine because that happens all the time. Mm-hmm. And we may need a variance. It's almost like the applicant should apply for a variance and then continue this one, for the next month or whenever he can do that. And then we can have everything in front of us and hash it out. I go by this property all the time. I've been waiting for someone to do something with it.
Oh, I mean, I've shown the property. I mean, I think we're all willing to find some way to make use of this. It's just a matter of, I'm not sure what I'm being asked right now. And like you said, the use changed. I'm part of development plans all the time. That happens, that's fine. I just want to make sure what we're being presented and what we're being asked is clear so we can render a clear decision. That's all.
Can I just ask a couple questions of the board then, sort of informally, just to see, I'm not asking for a vote or anything. I'm just a general feeling is this a project worthy of a use variance? I think because that's essentially what we would be asking for here.
And we're sort of ask us for opinion. We all may have different opinions on that.
Of course.
I think as part of the development of the town, I think, and I'm not going to speak for the whole board, I'll speak on behalf of myself and even Steve going by and just mentioning he would hope something would happen with this. Is I think everybody in town would like to see something happen with this as opposed to a building continue to deteriorate. We understand the lot itself is non-conforming. It has very restricted use. And considering the size of it, trying to get, a septic system, subsurface disposal system to fit within there for a larger use will be a challenge. But I think if something were presented that was doable and fits within that neighborhood, and the neighborhood, you have multi-families, you have some older homes, you have it's not just Tabooly, a little bit further down. So it's an area where it gets a lot of foot traffic, a lot of regular traffic, it's a lot of mixed use. I think people would like to see something happen with that as opposed to it just turn into crud.
Okay.
I'll concur with Ryan's assessment as well. Steve, did you?
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing, and I always thought it was a perfect place for condos or something. So to have 4 2-bedroom units, if that's what it is, I mean, I can see that happening. So Attorney Pellegrini, I guess the vibe is we're willing to do something. We just got to figure out how we have to do it within the confines of the bylaws, given the bunch of sections that we read, and it may be more a variance, which is why I asked that question at the beginning, than a special permit.
And look at the variance standards. I mean, this checks off a lot of the boxes.
It does.
So.
Okay. Well, obviously we're ready. I mean, I've already prepared a variance argument, so I think we can turn this around pretty quickly, and we should ask for a continuance, I guess.
Yeah, I was gonna suggest rather than have us vote on what's in front of us now, why don't we continue this hearing, put it on to 6:35 at the next hearing, which Suzanne is July 14th, correct?
Correct. We'd have to turn it around and advertise it this week.
So can you have it submitted this week, Attorney Pellegrini, so we can get the advertisement in?
I'm ready to go. So
okay.
I think that should be very easy to do. I can do it.
It's either July 14th or August 11th. So
right.
Yeah, but
whichever is you're more comfortable with, then we can make a motion to
why don't we continue it to July 14th? If for whatever reason you don't get it in this week for whatever reason, and you want it to be in August, we can always do a further continuance. I think we're fine on the time as far as that goes, because our July and August meetings are coming up quicker than they did in June. So I think we'll be okay with that. Tim, Ed, do you have anything that you want to add? Ask any questions? I know you didn't really get much of a chance here yet.
No, I think I agree with the sentiment. I mean, right now with, 4 apartments or condos in that area certainly fits in with the neighborhood. And I'd like to see something get done. And I think we hopefully can work together and get this handled.
Okay. Ed?
Nothing to add.
Anybody going away on vacation the week of July 14th?
Yeah.
Not that I know.
To the backyard.
Yeah, okay. So,
With the mask
You need a
on.
motion to continue to July 14? I'll make it.
so as far as we know, the 5 of us are all available, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. And Attorney Pellegrini, you okay if we've got a motion to continue to the 14th at 6:35? You good with that?
Wonderful, thank you. Yeah.
Okay. Suzanne?
Good.
Okay. Imai, is there anything you wanted to add? He's not, I can't unmute him for some reason, so we'll assume not. Before we continue, are there any members of the public that want to say anything tonight? Just give it a minute. I know there are people that have joined. Doesn't look like it yet. So Mr. Merlin made a motion to continue this hearing until July 15th at 6:35 p.m. Seconded by
Mr. Cook.
Seconded.
Mr. Cook. You was first. Or second. All right. All those in favor. Tim.
Aye.
Stephen.
Yes.
Ryan.
Yes.
Ed.
Yes.
And I concur as well. So 5-0, we'll continue to July 14th. And, if you get the variance application in this week, we'll get it advertised and it'll be on the docket for right after that.
Thank you.
And we'll do them simultaneously. So.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you very much.
All right. Have a good night, guys.
You too.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Hang on. Everybody else, hang on a second. Okay.
You got to vote on the meeting minutes and stuff.
Yeah. So just somebody want to make a motion to approve the meeting minutes from May 19th?
So moved.
Second.
Made by Mr. Cook, seconded by Mr. Merlin. Roll call vote. Steve?
Yes.
Ryan?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
Tim?
Yes.
And I vote to approve, 5-0. Suzanne, is there anything else that I am forgetting, overlooking, not
No, all set.
being the
Motion to adjourn.
You couldn't say it fast enough.
Somebody hasn't had dinner yet.
Seconded.
By Mr.
Yes.
Merlin to adjourn, seconded by Mr. Cook. Tim?
Yes.
Ed?
Aye.
Ryan?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
And I vote to adjourn as well. Thank you, everyone. We'll see you.
All right.
Okay, take care.
See you,
Thanks.
folks.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
See you next time.
All
Take
right.
care.
Take care.